Beautiful, yes? Those of you who are guests, my name is Michael Mirdad, and I serve here as part of our spiritual leadership. The other parts of our spiritual leadership involve our chaplains, our musicians. To us, it's all connected. The attendees, including the ones online. Everybody contributes in intention, consciousness, prayer, finances, all these different ways that people support. So it's all part of what creates this really wonderful experience we have here. There's kind of a funny story. Hope you don't mind my telling this. I won't use your name, but a guy came to Sedona a few weeks ago. I think it was from overseas. And while he was here, he was doing things that people do. So he was doing mushrooms, because that's what you do in Sedona. But he was doing some mushrooms, and later that day, he thought, he was asked, do you want to go to church? And they opted to come here. He was sitting outside, and he said, I was just still, whoa, stuff's still happening. And he was sure that he was still experiencing the mushroom, the effects, because he said, then I saw a fairy go by, and then I saw like a genie, and then I saw an angel, and he's like, wow, that stuff's still kicking in, Came inside, and he said, and then I saw more of these kinds of bizarre, colorful things going on. And he said, finally, there was a point where I came out in an outfit. Oh, no. And he said, are you seeing what I'm seeing? To the person sitting next to him. And they thought, oh, the poor guy, he's tripping. So they said, yes, it's Halloween. Oh. Because he wasn't from this country, so I guess he didn't know what we did. So isn't that funny? Wow. Sedona really is tripping, man. I'm seeing a genie and an angel and a fairy. And oh, too funny. What would you like me to talk about today?
How about rebirth?
What was that? Over there? That's a good one too, yeah. Yeah, wow. Okay, hold there for a second. You just answered your own question. So somebody asked about rebirth, magic, atonement, grief, several things were asked, but one of them, self-sabotage. And then another came in here, procrastination. Procrastination is a key form of self-sabotage. And a lot of people that procrastinate won't know that because they would rather procrastinate and not look at it as a problem. It's everybody around them that's going nuts because nothing gets done. But procrastination is a major form of self-sabotage, There are a lot of ways we sabotage our lives. Whether it's sabotaging ourselves, which affects others, or sabotaging others. We sabotage our lives, and we really have to understand that. We can do this consciously or unconsciously, sabotage. We can do it continuing old patterns. Consciously or unconsciously, continuing old patterns, even addictions. Continuing things you say you want to change, but you just keep giving in and continuing these. A funny one would be ignoring signs that tell you or warn you that you're sabotaging yourself. It's kind of funny. People have no problem going, wow, aren't synchronicities cool? What are those? Well, repeating signs that something's aligning or connecting or going the right way, right? But yet they're not as excited with synchronicities that tell them, stop doing this to yourself. That's synchronicity too. Why is that not cool? Well, anyway. So it's another one is allowing doubt to get in too far. You wake up in the morning, you have some ideas to start something. Well, but I'm not sure, whatever it is. Asking for a raise, well, they might fire, filing for divorce. These things, you start overthinking them. But I'll get to the overthinking. This is allowing doubt. It's probably not going to work. Why bother? The why bother syndrome. And the way I just worded that, either you let it go on for too long or too deeply, and it's going to undermine. Any of you that are into agriculture or, plants and trees and fruit trees, and you know what root rot is, right? That's where the moisture, there's too much of this, the wetness, it dries, it rots the roots of the tree. It's the same with us. If we allow that swampy, corrupted water in the roots too long, it kills the tree. Well, I'm just trying to do a good job and keep it watered. It doesn't matter. Good intentions aren't helping. It's still doing this. So be aware. You wake up in the morning and you see that. It's not like I'm saying you should snap a rubber band and try to, or try to shame yourself for having the thoughts. See them and ask yourself, hey, I think I'm having one of those doubts. How long would I like to let that go today? I'm going to give it a good 10 minutes. Then go for it. Just own that you're doing it, but have an ending. Bing, phone goes off, done. This terrible time, many times, King David went through the dark night of the soul. This is considered perhaps the greatest of all the kings in history of kings. And he's called the equivalent to a human being as Jesus was to a Christed being. So in the form of royalty, still channeling all this wonderful stuff, but still goes through the dark night of the soul because humans do. So he's going through the dark night, and one of those times, it's this son that it meant so much to him, and he's dying. And David will not eat, he will not drink, he'll do nothing. No celebrations, no meetings, nothing. Because he's fully allowing himself to go into two things: the grief or doubt that he's, have I done something wrong? He goes fully into it. And the loss, there's just, go ahead, mourn the loss and so on. So he goes with this. But there's a point, my king, would you eat? No. My king, could we? No, no, no. And it looks like he's just gone into the depression. But the story tells us there's a point where they say the child has died because it was sick but not dead yet. So he's waiting, and it dies. When it dies, he gets up, removes everything, washes, and says, let's have a feast. And they're like, man, this guy's like bipolar. 1 minute he won't do anything. Now he wants to have a feast. And the lesson is mourn when you have to mourn and then get up. When you've changed what you can, accept what you can't, and get up. So go ahead, give yourself 5 minutes if you need to mourn, 10 minutes if you have to do a day. Oh, this is really horrible changes in my life, things I can't make go right. At some point, write them down and burn them. This is all hope that this would have gone better. It didn't. Bid farewell, because the energy will get recycled and give you new life, new birth. One of you asked about rebirth. You can only rise as far as you fall. People, human beings, love the idea of a new life, but they won't recycle the old one. Well, I'm going to keep it just in case. Self-sabotage. I'm going to hang on to just in case. I've known people that have hung on to former partners until they know that they got another one locked into place. That's kind of weird. Well, I just want to know I got someone there. Wow. Anyway, it's just like dysfunctionalhookups.com, So we let this go too far or sink too deeply. Too deeply means it's rotted now. And that's going to come back and bite you. But you're the one who let it go too far. Take control of your life. Take ownership of your life. This is as far as I'd like to let this go. And sometimes just ask good questions. I'm feeling doubt about this. Again, your counselor could say, your motivational counselor, whatever it happens to be, your sponsor, doubting again. Yeah, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can recover. I don't know if I could do this or that. Okay, let's do it again. And ask really great questions. Do you want the karmic effects of losing your commitment to changing, or would you like the gifts of change? Who in their right mind is going to go, I'll take dysfunction for 20, Alec? Why would you? You wouldn't, and you should be able to laugh at it. See it for what it is. If I let this go much further, I'm going to be lost in it. You see? Do things like that. Catch yourself and ask yourself, do you really want to go there? No, but I do have some legit doubts. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to ask for the spiritual cone of silence from Get Smart. And while you're under the cone of silence, so that no beings can hear you, get it out of your system. But I'm just worried, I'm just concerned, this and this and that and the other. Get it all out of your system. Let's straighten it out. Are you ready to commit again? Yes. Let the cone of silence go up, because you want to be careful that the universe isn't hearing you commiserate again and again. Because your state of mind is what gets reflected back as a life. So do you really want to let go too far, too deeply? And that leads to another, which is the overthinking. Doubt leads to overthinking. If you have a propensity to doubting, you're going to start overthinking. Overthinking, I could do a whole, hours and hours just on that. But overthinking is an interesting thing, because when I start to doubt emotionally, which is the second chakra, my emotional center, I'll start to overthink. That's meaning that I'm going to fire up the neurons in my solar plexus called the abdominal brain. So in other words, if we're talking chakras, when things are not going well in my material life, root chakra, I start to worry, emotional chakra. Once I start to worry, my ego convinces me, you know how you should deal with the worry? Let's think about it a lot. It never works. The overthinking doesn't work, and it just says, no, but I got you distracted, didn't I? What it doesn't want you to do is go higher here to where you'll say, this pain is too much. God, what would you have me do? Then it's all over for the ego in that moment, for that challenge. So it needs to get you hyper reactive so the head kicks in. Everybody struggles with this to some degree, but we have to learn to see it for what it is. Whenever you find yourself overthinking, it's the head, but it's not the metaphor of the head here, the brain, the abdominal brain, because we're talking chakras instead of neurology and anatomy. So the abdominal brain kicks in. It's going to overthink to try to solve. But what some people say, yeah, but the solar plexus is about fear. To a degree, yes. But what happens is once the emotional center gets overwhelmed, I start to fear solar plexus, and I'm going to think that if I can think this, I can solve my fear. But the word obsession is defined as an unsuccessful way of dealing with emotions. Obsessing cannot solve your problems, and yet everybody obsesses. That means we're absolutely addicted to doing the very thing that will not work to solve our problems. Bring them to the altar in here. Yeah, but I think I almost got it figured out. Really? Do you know how long you've been incarnating? It's been billions of years. I know you only had a memory going back for 10 or 20 years. You've been here, you've been outside of heaven for billions of years. It hasn't worked. Yeah, but this time I think I got it. That's the control freak. That's the ego. And we're allowed, we have free will to mess with this and keep trying. Obsession just doesn't work. So there's another factor, and that is people do not understand the connection to faith and patience, which we'll come back to, I think. But patience and faith are very much connected. So when I get in hyper mode, I'm obsessing, it's an unsuccessful way of dealing with emotions. Whether you're obsessing on something you want, like an addiction, a chemical or drink, or obsessing on if only I had been there for more, they wouldn't have left me. If all the if onlys. That's the mantra, the 2-word mantra of the ego. If only. It leaves you always missing the mark and just falling short. If we lack faith and patience, we're going to be messed up. It's the opposite. Obsessing? No, wait, be patient. Patient, you mean if I wait, I'll get something. No, here's what I mean. Patience means that I know everything's going to be okay. The obsessive mind's going, yeah, but you should do this, and if you don't, you're not being very responsible, and so on and so on and so on. Wait. Patience means I know faith. Patience and faith are connected. If I'm being patient, it's because I truly have faith. I don't have to actually fix anything. Well, sure you do if you're a responsible being. No. The only thing I need to do, if there's any doing at all, is do nothing, which means surrender it to God. That doesn't mean actually be irresponsible, but your ego will tell you that because it wants you to obsess. Then you'll shift back to this solar plexus, to this chakra, to your lower three chakras, which are the human ego home, to the heart. Wow, things are kind of messed up here and I don't see any way out. Okay, I'm going to go to this place and have faith in things unseen, meaning I don't know what the solution's going to be. I don't have to know yet. Surrender. And I have faith. And if I have true faith, then I'm going to be patient. Why? Because if I have faith, remember the word faith really in its highest sense means I know, not I hope. See? People that don't really understand, they just muster up a little hope. Well, guys, let's just hope things go okay. That word already has doubt in it. Do you hear it? I hope things work out is very different from I already know. Listen, they can't not work out. They can't not. If I surrender this to God, God's going to go, oh, look at you. You're surrendering it to divine and everything is going to be cool because you just gave it to the only real power in the universe. You have the only real power, which is love, and that you'll be taken care of. And then you have your pseudo power, which is manipulation. And your head working overtime, which is going to end up affecting this, causing adrenal fatigue and all kinds of messed up things, stomach issues and so on. It's, to err is human, to forgive is divine. So you're not wrong or bad for lacking patience, lacking trust, worrying and overthinking, but you're identifying with your broken self. How could that not be in the category of self-sabotage? I have a divine self, and then I have days when I don't feel that. That would be a pretty good definition of, right, self-sabotage. Choosing to not remember who I am is self-sabotage. So, another one though, forgetting to give thanks. If I say, you know what, I'm going to surrender this, give thanks. When you forget to give thanks, because that's a self-sabotage, us forgetting to say thank you. Not because God's like, well, fine. I guess someone didn't thank me, so now I'm not going to give you any help. It's not about that. It's when we give thanks, it means we've locked it in. Thank you means done. So if I surrender this to God and say, I believe that I'm going to develop a sense of knowing that all is going to be well. That's faith, true faith. It's also trust. So I'm giving this all to God. I surrender this. Nice. Overall, it's an umbrella of surrender. I surrender to you, God, and you can ask, give me the trust, give me the faith. You can ask to get a boost of that. But it isn't really God saying, well, since you've asked, I'll give you some. That God is already here. But when you say it, you're allowing yourself to open up to it more. But my point is, give thanks because it locks it in. When you say, I'm trusting all is well, thank you. Thank you means, and so it is. Or, and so mote it be. You see what I'm saying? Now it is. It's not, okay, I'm surrendering it. And thank you. You don't typically say thank you to something you didn't receive. Right? It means I got it. Message received. And one more, willpower. Human beings are generally weak-willed. When you follow your ego, it's funny because the ego tells an athlete, I'm going to make you the best athlete. The ego tells a politician, I'm going to make you win the election. The ego tells you you're going to be strong and you're going to survive. And listen, the ego's version of survival means just to barely get through if you're lucky. But the ego, look at how many people, look at your exes that got all the money in the divorce. They acted powerful, but they're not. They're actually acting powerful because they're so weak and so afraid that they have to be louder, more annoying, And they seem to win in this world, but if you have faith in God, you'll know that part doesn't matter. And that's what's really challenging, because we're supposed to be having faith in the thing that doesn't always show evidence of itself. And you don't know when it'll happen. The ego was easily going to promise you, I will give you immediate results. You know, I got God that who knows. God's got this divine timing thing. And the ego's like, now, I like that. It's like the difference between fast food and preparing, a tea that takes hours and hours to simmer. It's like, no, I want to be fixed now. I want to see my ex suffer. I want to win this court case. I want. But behind all that is wanting, which means needing, which means you're empty and you need something fixed. Oh, but we don't want to go that far into looking at this. I just want what I want. So it gets very, very tricky managing all this. And so learning to ask questions again. If I get immediate gratification, I know what that results in. And use a metaphor, a date. I want immediate gratification. I'm feeling very lonely. Go to a bar, and how's that going to work out generally? I want immediate gratification. I think I need a lot of nutrients. I'm feeling kind of sick. I think I'll hit fast food restaurant, or drive-through or whatever. Do they usually say this is the place of nutrients? Welcome to McNutrients. No, they're just, it's just some, kind of cardboard ground up and pasted together and with flavoring that, wow. And there's not really nutrients. That's called bioacidic food that actually destroys cells, versus biogenic, which is cells that get generated or brought to health. I think I'd like some biogenic in my life, which comes from your attitudes, not just your foods. Your attitudes. Even your ability to breathe more fully, generates life. And when we're afraid, when we're doubting and overthinking, you're actually not breathing very fully. You're just barely getting by. And the ego says, welcome to the school of survival. I promise you, I can get you to survive something. I like that. People like to go to survival schools, but no thrival schools. I think I'd like to thrive. Oh, well, we don't have any of that here for you. At best, you'll just get by. And we take it hook, line, and sinker. So, but I'm not suggesting fighting, hating, resisting the temptation to doubt. See it for what it is and ask appropriate questions. Choose, but make a choice. I could choose this. I see some doubts. I see that I'm overthinking. Don't push it away. Just stop and own it for a moment. And then try this. I'm going to make a conscious choice that despite the way I feel, don't pretend you're not, despite the way I feel, doubt, overthinking, I'm going to surrender this to you, God. And I want you to teach me how to feel your presence, despite the way things look. Bring in something new. You see what I mean by that? Call in the presence of God. Don't try to decide what that looks like. Just know this. Watch for the symptoms and remember to give thanks. Even in advance. Even in advance. Well, I haven't seen the results yet. I know. Just give thanks. But if you're going to stall thanks at all, which is self-sabotage, remember this. When you see a shift in your feelings, 1 minute I'm totally upset, I'm doubting, I'm fearing, and I'm overthinking. How is it that 60 seconds later, I'm like, I just noticed I went to wash my hands and I started singing? Well, wait, what happened? Something shifted. If you don't own those little shifts, you will not have bigger shifts. Own them. Give thanks for them. Something that's called a miracle. I was fearing and doubting. Now I'm singing. That's strange in a good way. But call it a miracle and give thanks for it. You guys are asking about, for example, atonement. Atonement, it sort of has two meanings. At-one-ment. So getting into a state of atonement means I got all this worry, all this doubt. Wait. What is your will? Your will, I don't think, is this thing that I'm doing. So what is your will? Peace, happiness, self-will, self-worth. Wow. So I sit for a moment, breathe in love and self-worth instead of fear and self-doubt. Love and self-worth, love and self-worth. And I give thanks that I did that I accomplished it. Have I felt it yet? No, but give thanks anyway. Now, when you're doing that, you're making a choice to align with God's will versus alignment, which is a misalignment with the ego's version of things. The ego makes you fear, then it throws you a life raft which has a hole in it called obsessing. This ought to help you. Oh, it looks better than anything else around here. You'll cling to it. And it just has nothing, there's no substance. Is that making sense? So, but there's a couple of versions. When I say have patience, have faith, there's a human version of that, and it's not bad at all. I mean, at least you have something going on. The human faith is going to be like, I'm going to give myself a few minutes and then I'm going to come out of this. Human faith is, and patience would be, we think of human patience as, which is kind of funny, but I'm learning to be a lot more patient. What that means is I'm learning to tolerate incompetent people. That's what it means, really. Think about human definition of patience. It doesn't, tranquility. No, human version of patience is, be more patient. I have to be more patient with people. People frustrate me. I have to be more. It's all about tolerating people. Spiritual patience means I'm actually learning to have faith that everything is okay no matter how I think it's going. So your child spins off into addiction. Patience isn't, I'm just going to be patient till they come back. Real patience, spiritual patience means I know they're going to come back. It's going to be fine. Yeah, but do you hear they're doing this? I'm not telling you that your eyes should be telling you whether something's worthy of your patience. I'm telling you it's in here. Know that all is going to be all right. And in fact, everything is already all right. But I don't see it. I know. Because I've already invested in these senses and this world, and I'm going to get back evidence to what my beliefs are about. If I believe that there's dangers in, then I'm going to see evidence of that. No matter what. That's what that phrase means. The immaculate conception means I'm going to hold an immaculate, pure, faith-filled vision of whatever it is that I'm looking at. An animal dies, the mother earth never mourns the loss per se of an animal dying. She never sees it as a loss, a death, because you're asking about death and grief. And she never mourns the loss. She knows as soon as one rabbit dies, the energy's already being recycled as a tree. And as soon as a tree dies, it's recycled as a dolphin. I mean, she's just doing this. Just massaging it, moving it. She never oh my God, a tree died. How am I supposed to have a good day today? It's not really good to anger Mother Nature. Somehow she holds this, and we have to practice that. But don't make yourself do it. Realize I of myself can't. Because my little self uses senses, and the senses will not bring good evidence back of faith in God in life. These senses are limited, so they're going to bring back scary visions. Instead, ask the Divine Mother to show you how to see through her eyes. Show me how to have faith in things that don't seem like I can have faith in. I mean, look at the things, how messed up things get for people with things like soul's purpose and career. Look how scary that can be. I know, partnerships too, but we don't even know. We don't even know barely the time that it is of the day. What time is it right now? We don't even know that. How do you know the all then? How do you know everything's going to go badly? Well, because this is happening and an astrologer told me, and this is squared and full moon and Mercury retrograde. There are times when you're having a good day until somebody tells you Mercury went retrograde. Because you started having faith in what you were told. There are people that don't choose to believe that. Oh my God, Mozart, he doesn't have quite Salieri, or whatever his name was, this more academically trained musician, he's got the external, because that's called survival. There's survival where you're barely leaking, getting through to have a talent of some kind. And then there's compensatory talent, where you make yourself achieve. And people love that. Oh, my life was terrible, but look what I've achieved. And people are just like, oh, isn't that amazing? It's not that amazing. All you did was use your willpower to work harder to look like you did okay. But if your soul hasn't been healed, you're still not okay. There are people that trusted, because if you don't do it with God, then it isn't really being done. It's only being manufactured. So when you come from a different place and it just flows easily, you're not doing it to compensate or to survive. You're doing it from a place, that's pretty cool, because Salieri is like training and trying to be a great musician, and Mozart's just doing it. And the other's going, I hate you. How do you do this so easily? I mean, great artists of today have done this. It's so challenging. And every time that you say, I've learned to plug into God, things become more easy and it's just channeled. You actually get competition and resentment from them. Why? Because they don't know how to do that yet. You're being an example. You can't shame yourself because that's self-sabotage. I'm going to feel bad because they can't do it, and then you let yourself down. You lower your own abilities. That doesn't make sense. And that's another form of self-sabotage. But there are people who just like almost entered a miracle time warp, a miracle bubble, I call it, where the limits of this world don't affect them. Django Reinhardt, he's a guitarist who had only 2 functioning fingers, and yet he's considered one of the greatest guitarists in history. And he's only got 2 functioning fingers here. And he just did it differently. I've mentioned in our online course, there's another guitarist of today, a guy that created heavy metal because he lost his fingertips days before going on their first tour. So he had to put these caps on and play differently, pressing harder, and it created heavy metal. The guitarist for Black Sabbath. These are people that went otherworldly. They didn't just follow the standards of this world. God, what would you have me do? I mean, in some way, that guy sits and goes, my whole life has been ruined. I lost my fingertips. I'm a guitarist. That's like saying I play harp and I have no arms. It's a bit of an inconvenience. It's messed up. But you know what? His sensitive foreman at his factory said, I heard what happened and I know you're struggling. Yeah, I can't go on tour, and my whole life I wanted to be a guitarist, and I can't. He said, no, I brought you a record. Django Reinhardt. He only had 2 functioning fingers, and he's fantastic. He listens. So the guy who lost his fingers, that's bad news. I lost my fingers, becomes great and inspires other people out of depression because of the example they were. Are you adding to people's problems, or are you showing them something else? Show them hope. Someone says to me, oh, I would love to, if only a teacher, and where did you study? Nowhere. It's God. It's the Holy Spirit. Really? Yes, you can be as messed up as me and still be able to channel something. Messed up just meaning, I don't get this world very easily. So it's okay. No matter what you think you are or how messed up you think you are, those are your opinions. Obsessing on them is self-sabotage. Saying, fine, God, apparently there's something else I could do with my life. Right? It doesn't matter if people like you or hate you. Remember there's that purple dinosaur thing on kids' shows? What was his name? Barney. Kids loved him and adults made fun of him. He still made mint on it. He was great. Whoever the guy was in the costume, his name was David. And David went on to become a tantric massage therapist. I mean, that worked out. Didn't that work out? It's kind of like, well, okay. I think I'll take the funds from, being a purple dinosaur. And anyway, Who knows, but it's true. What direction your life goes. There's what you manipulate it to go, which is failure or false success. And then there's, I don't know. I'm going to surrender to God, and God knows. And some fantastic things happen. Please remember this, especially if you're going through the dark night of the soul. Please remember that no matter who you've been, where you've been, what's happened to you, you lost your limb, you lost your partner, you lost your money, no matter what it is, when you take the moment to sincerely surrender to God, this thing that you were, no matter how broken you've become or seemingly fantastic you were, no matter what it is, you give it to God, and God takes it and starts channeling it in ways that you never could have imagined. Even fundamental Christian teachers, Course in Miracles teachers, say these things in their talks. It's true. Trusting in something beside yourself. If you just keep doing it yourself, I know I can make this happen. I know I can make this work. You're still running on your own will. When I said earlier, humans are weak, they lack willpower, they have plenty of fake willpower. Some of them don't. Some of them are just weak and they collapse to everything. But many have a false willpower. They know how to make things happen. They find a way to get those funds to get to that motivational workshop so they can change their lives by learning to say things like, I can succeed. It's all me. It's still I, me, mine. Well, look at me. Now I can go to a class reunion in a limousine, and just walk in the finest outfit and look, my family, and they all have to look, wow, I guess you really did succeed. Who needs their opinions? Who needs any of that? Are you happy? Are you feeling joy? And I mean, when we're really locked into our purpose, there's a joy that fills us up and our cup runneth over and spills over onto everybody that we're in contact with. We bring them love and light. So a guy named Django Reinhardt's playing, he doesn't know about a guy named Tony in Black Sabbath's band. But his ability to pull off success, to trust in God, inspired another guy whose band, despite reputation, is constantly singing about God. Despite what people make up. There's lots of, people can use rumors to try to tear somebody down and not even know them. And that band sang a lot about God. And then, just popped into my head there. And then I'm an adolescent going, I don't get it. This world, this messed up world. I'm constantly on restriction because I'm constantly not getting good grades because I have no interest at all in memorizing data at school. I'm not going, wow, this is my soul's purpose. Tell me something else that's irrelevant that I can memorize. Okay, that something this and that and historic, which is not true, but I'm going to memorize it as Columbus discovered America. Okay, got it. And I wrote that answer and I got an A on my report card and wow, I'm happy. But I'm going, he did not. Everybody was here before him. Just about everybody. Some people backpaddled and made it to to North America. Geez, Lord, the Japanese were here before Columbus, the Chinese were here, the Vikings everybody was here. I'm surprised we didn't already have a UN waiting for Christopher Columbus. God, This whole multicultural group on the coast. And he walks in with the banner, I have discovered what? Go ahead. No, you didn't. So I didn't have faith in that kind of world. And it's funny now. It was very painful as a kid going, this is not true. And I'm told to get an A, I have to repeat what isn't true. But then, now it gets weirder. You go and get married and you repeat I do and you say I love you when you really don't. I love and respect you when you really don't, and there's violence and there's hurt and there's cheating and whatever. We're just trained to lie, which is self-sabotage. Lying to ourselves is another form of self-sabotage. And we let it go way too far and then we sink too deeply into it. And then we find only false ways of correcting it. false ways, meaning, drugs, alcohol, anything to pick me up because I'm not up. But finding our real purpose, oh my God, it's like it fills us. It makes us feel joy that I can't not smile now because it's there. Can you imagine going, here's a winning lottery ticket? You won $20 million. Going, oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. Do you go into a frown over that? It's like immediately the kids on Christmas under the tree. Oh, is it Christmas? No, they're like excited. When things are plugged in, it lifts you. And when you plug into God, there's nothing like it. It lifts us. Now, I'm saying that, but I'm knowing as I'm saying it, some of us listening are getting the opposite of excited. We're like, well, this is great. He's explaining why I'm miserable, but I'm still miserable. Well, he's talking about when you find your soul's purpose, but when, where, how do I find it? There's talks on it. They're free. Go watch them. I've talked about it several times. We have a workshop. Sign up for it. It's every January. It's co-creating a new life. I mean, find some way. Learn about it. We even make things too complicated. That's another form of self-sabotage. Well, I heard to change my life, I have to do 800 things, and I have to do 8 hours a day. No, you don't. Who told you that? Well, my teacher. Fire them. Fire them. Get one that says in 10 minutes every day you can change everything. Go for teachers that simplify things. Everyone finds an easier time falling in love with and supporting and appreciating things, teachers, books that simplify things. Christ consciousness, Taoism, that which is, isn't, except on Mondays when it partly is. What in God's name did that mean? Taoism, you can't understand it, but you know what he says? You can understand it. It's your ego resisting. This is so easy, you've forgotten how to understand it, which is supporting Jesus saying, you must be as children. You've got to get back to understanding how simple it is. Well, it's very complicated because there's and eras and yugas and planetary alignments and lost civilizations. It sounds complicated. It really isn't. All of it is said in the same story. You are and always have been a perfect holy child of God. You forgot, and that's when all this weird stuff happened. And when you're done pretending that this is real, you'll be back. Alpha and Omega means just that. I am the beginning and the end. And we go, really? What's in between? And God's going, what's wrong with you? I am the beginning and the end. So it's all right there. Yeah, but what's down here? Obsessing. That's what Adam and Eve did. What's with the other tree? Well, I'm telling you, don't eat from the tree of judgment, because then once you become judgmental, you'll fall. No, but I got to know what it tastes like. Is it like an apricot? Is it, yeah, that's a tree thing, right? It's an apricot, a mango or whatever, any of these things, And we obsess. We obsess on the mistakes we've made, because we think, well, if I feel bad, it shows that I'm conscientious. No, it actually shows that you're dysfunctional. Judging yourself proves you're unworthy of the beginning and the end, your holiness. So really, this whole thing is about us letting ourselves off the hook. There's nothing evil about, well, I used to be Cleopatra, and there's nothing at all evil, and there's nothing wrong, but in what angle do you look at it? Do you look at the lifetimes that went wrong and that made you have an excuse for not surviving today and thriving today? Well, I would, but I was Cleopatra, and things didn't end well. So now, she was bitten by these snakes and she died that way. Now I can't have sex, So she makes these unconscious conclusions, and they're just sabotaging her life. And I'm telling you, if she were interviewed right then by Jesus, he would not go, yeah, this makes sense. Make these connections that ruin you. If you're going to make connections, soul's purpose, past lives, if they're not bringing you to greater good, then you're doing it wrong. Don't meditate to find out that you're so far from God. You should be meditating to connect. Right? Everything should be so simple. I am, I thought I wasn't, and I am again. Meditate as though I am connected. Forgive as though I am connected. But it's hard to forgive because I know. So go through that, cry and vomit and do what you need to do and get back to, and I'm there again. I am and I am. I am and I am. The other stuff, play the game, but know it's a game. Cry, mourn the loss, because right now I believe that when you died, you're gone. But that's because I don't remember that I am, and so are you. You can't be gone. I mourn that we don't feel God anymore. That's only here, temporarily. Obsess on it, and you're actually choosing to inflate it into activity. Think about that. Well, I wish I didn't obsess on this happened to me and that happened. I'm not saying deny that things happened. In time, that's what seems to be. I'm talking about obsessing on it. When you obsess on things, you're consciously or unconsciously choosing to sabotage your life. Own that you're doing it. Well, I wouldn't if they didn't. You're obsessing again. And if you really struggle with this, self-sabotage or obsessing being one form of self-sabotage. If you do it a lot, try this. Start the day and see how long you can go through the day without doing it, like any addiction. It's a day at a time. Try to get an hour without going, yeah, but. I got to think this through. I got to take a shower. But I could slip in the shower and get hurt. Wow, we didn't even make it the first minute of the day. Get up and be careful and get in the shower. That's it. When you're done, give thanks. I did it. Well, why should I? That's no big deal. It is. You said you might fall and you didn't. Give thanks for all the correct prophecies you made upon yourself. Because most of them are wrong. And you don't own that they're wrong, which means you like feeding this false information to yourself and ruining your life. Try the opposite. Try giving thanks instead of obsessing mind, thankful mind. I did it. Wow. I thought that if I went to a spiritual center, they might say something I didn't like, I didn't want to hear. Maybe. Did you survive? I'm looking. I don't see any fumes from anybody spontaneously combusting. You made it through. Whew. Yeah, but it's not over yet. Oh, that's true. So just stay there shaking until we do our final prayer. And really? Who's doing that? Well, it's my parental parenting, programming. All of it's an illusion. Don't be so weak. Use your willpower and say, and that the most righteous and accurate thing you can do and say about willpower is when you use your will to choose God. Saying I'm going to use willpower to succeed, it's not actually power. You're using willfulness. There's a difference between willfulness and willpower. Power comes from God. If you're not willing something to happen, then you're actually just, I'll say it another way. If you're willing things to happen, it's still you willing it, right? You're just kind of pushing for it. If you're not willing it to be with God, then it's not God. It's just you. So give thanks when you remember. It's of myself I know nothing, but with you, God, I'm ready to find my soul's purpose. I'm ready for a greater strength to get through this challenging situation. Develop a relationship with that. Remember that word will. Will you get something done? Will you isn't a question. Will you? You need to will yourself to get it done. You can do it of yourself. I'm going to will it, or I'm going to will God's power. Does that make sense? So come from a different place. You're not a survivor, a thriver. I'm plugging into God. It's one thing that I love about fundamental Christians that they keep alive, is that they keep alive this idea that you of yourself are nothing. You can't actually make yourself saved. You can't actually heal yourself and fix yourself. Any real healing has to involve God. Any real awakenings have to have, I had an awakening when I read a book. The book isn't capable. You're a divine being. It's paper and ink and it's an illusion. you're real and you think it gave you power. It's just, that's how little we make ourselves. It's what's in the book, I become. And as I become, I'm awakening. And I choose not to do this alone. I ask for your guidance in all these things. And that's why they say you have to do this with Jesus. Their point is you have to access the divine to really get anywhere. Doing it of yourself, all you do is go in circles. And it's exhausting. And people need to know how exhausting it is so they stop trying to make their own lives come together. Everyone has a soul's purpose. The spiritual soul's purpose for every one of us is anchoring the light of God. But that's not going to give you any career guidance, is it? It might. Because if you know that you're spiritually, your soul's purpose is anchoring the light of God, you might not do jobs that are kind of annoying. You might try to do a job where you feel like you're making a difference. So that spiritual thing that seems lofty does still lock in as having an effect in your decision. But then you have a personal soul's purpose. And that's where you say, okay, I have skills in typing, so I guess my soul's purpose needs to be doing keyboard work in an office. No, that's not true. You thought it was typing. When you surrender to God for your soul's purpose, I'm telling you clearly, God's going to take all these pieces and wind them together. You mean my skills, office skills? No. I'm talking about what color hair you have, how old you are. You've been married, you haven't been married. Mother, not a mother. All the pieces that you believe yourself to be are going to get woven together by a power beyond your logical mind. And it's going to come together. And it gets to be including your desires. All right, God, what would you have me do? You know, that's not the prayer. It's I'm ready. It's really kind of cool. And God says, "This, you're going to dig this. I'm going to take things about your life you don't like, things you're ashamed of, and weave them together with your obvious talents, but everything about you. And one day you'll look back and say, the things I thought ruined me became part of my skill set. Not always literally, but maybe being a mom gave you patience. And that becomes part of your purpose. Maybe not being a mom taught you patience and it becomes part of your purpose. Gradually move into some deep centering breaths and quiet your mind. That's willpower. When you say I am with a confident statement following, I am at peace. I am able. Today's meditation is a prayer. Father, Mother, God, we're using this moment to surrender our lives, like being born again. I'm surrendering what I thought I was. I'm surrendering my past lives. I'm surrendering childhood, programs, addictions, assumptions. Things I thought were valuable and things I didn't think were valuable. I don't know anymore. I'm giving it all as unconditionally as possible to you, God. You know how to weave what seems like lots of separate pieces of my life into a beautiful soul's purpose. No matter who I am, There's not even a question of worthiness. I have faith. I know this can turn around now. And that all the pieces can come together. Patience, I really don't even need any because I'm so sure that this is all clear and it's all done. Even patience would imply that I'm waiting. There's no waiting. I fully trust you. In the name of Christ, my true name, my true self, I affirm these things. For the next moment, let the sounds bring in a wave, a soft mist into your being to identify with. A calmness, a peace, a trust of faith. You're being filled with the presence of the Divine Mother. Give it a moment to feel that, to give thanks for that, to know it. Every organ, every gland, every joint, every system in your being, every layer of your aura, filled with this holy mist that is the Holy Spirit. I choose no resistance or sabotage. I allow you to enter my being and give birth to my real self. And when my real self shows up, it can then step into its purpose. Repeat silently 3 times. My life is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Quietly in your mind. And now together, out loud. My life is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My life is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My life is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. And then repeat each after me. My relationships are the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My health is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My finances. This world. My friendships. Everything. Nice. Let the frequency, the vibrations in the room and people watching wherever they are, they're anchoring that light there. Let this frequency, the truth of what we just shared, said, affirmed, let it lift. It's fully here, but let an extension of it lift up and be distributed to anyone willing to soak it in. Anyone you know of that's struggling, tell world leaders, not out loud, in your mind, this nation is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. all world leaders. Everything is God's, and I surrender it into God's hands. My children are the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My health is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Everything. I give everything to God. My future, my career, my soul's purpose is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. My doubts I give to God to be dispersed into the truth of God and the fullness thereof. That which is becomes more fully known. That which isn't, the things of the illusions and ego and manifestations that are fake, temporary, they're dispersed because they can't stand in the light without being shined away. Nothing has real power over me because there is no power but God's. And God's is goodwill to me and to us. And so it is. Slowly, gradually stretch out. Thank you. While you're integrating and stretching out, please know that after service we have chaplains available. They'll be doing a prayer circle. So if you'd like to join and offer added prayer energy, or if you'd like to receive, you can do that. Our chaplains are and ushers are getting up to prepare for the donations. So if you'd be so kind, please prepare for our love offering. And don't let yourselves leave meditation and start thinking about donations. Learn to make the love offering an extension of the meditation and the service. I'm still in this great vibe, and my finances are the Lord's and the fullness thereof. You know, everything. My confidence is the Lord's and everything. Come back to that whenever you can. So prepare your love offering. Please be as generous as you can be. We received another really generous donation to help pay for the new screen and projector that's come in. So that's several $1,000s. So we appreciate that. God bless you guys. Also, we're hosting a Thanksgiving brunch. It's your last chance to sign up in the foyer. There's some papers there. You can put your name, number, whatever it asks for. And if you're wanting to bring, you don't have to bring food to come to the Thanksgiving meal or brunch. But if you are going to bring something, write it down so we can keep track, because what we don't want is like 8 turkeys. We want to kind of keep track of what's happening, okay? All right. For our love offering, your donations go in the purple bags. The baskets are for any extra donations, for things like special projects like our screen, projector and all that, or for sometimes we share it with people of lesser means, all right? So let's do our love offering or prosperity blessing. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and so it is. Thank you. Tillian, can you lower that, please? Thank you. And that's a great blessing. It's like, here is God's presence here. It's all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, all that I receive. It's all connected. Again, and let's have a last, another warm appreciation to John Dumas. We're glad you're alive, brother. Yes. What did you hear or learn today that made the most sense for you? Can anyone share? Yes? Everything? Good. Nice. Did you grab hold of the deeper concepts around self-sabotage? Were you able to see how it happens to you at all? Good. Enough is enough, right? I'm seeing through it. I'm not running from it. I'm not hiding it. I'm not minimizing it. I see it, the various forms in my life, and I'm done. it's time for thriving. That's the attitude we can have. Yes?
Ultimately, no matter what,
Seek first the kingdom. Yeah. Go to God, man, with everything. I mean, really. Bring the doubts, bring the fears to God. Don't think that you just, don't just try to use like EFT, tapping, which is extraordinary. Don't try to just tap yourself out of sabotage. Ask yourself, why are you doing it? Tap two. Tap dance if you want. Do whatever you want to do that supports it, but sometimes also just ask yourself, what am I doing? And I'll close with that thought. Would you advise the kind of mental abuse you do to yourself to a child you loved? Would you tell a 5-year-old, you better rethink this a lot, and basically fear-oriented thinking, child? Would you do that? Why do you do it then? Would you think that would help a child? Honey, I'm going to teach you something now that you're 5, doubting yourself. Really? No, I would never. Then why do you do it? You know why? Because you don't love yourself as much as you would that child. And that doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound fair. It doesn't sound very loving. Bring to yourself love and self-worth should be your mantra. Not love and selfishness, self-worth. Capital S, capital W, your divine value, your real self. It deserves love, and every child, deserves that level of knowing, patience. I know you're going to get there. Mom, Dad, I don't understand it. I don't like school. It's not about you, but you have to. I'm not saying take them out of school. I'm not saying enable everything they feel, but it's okay. The ones that don't want to memorize math problems, it's all right. Have patience because you have faith that it's going to be okay. They may do nothing academically, which would be quite good, because that's where the creative people are. The ones that can't, they're often the ones that can't seem to function academically, meaning excessively left brain. They're doing the right brain. They're seeing things that other people aren't seeing. They have visions of a movie that could be made, a song that could be written, and it doesn't always translate to the linear 1, 2, 3s of the left brain. So at the very least, give room for it and know that it'll be okay. And it might happen that they switch gears. For me, it was, I think, in 2nd grade, I was told, my parents, because they were so often wondering what's wrong with Michael, my dad's answer to people, because they too would ask, my dad's answer was, we don't know, but I remember talking to his teacher in 2nd grade, and I could look at math work at school, and I never had to do the math. The answers would just appear, and I would know the math answers, but then I never show my work, and that's not acceptable. I'd say, but I knew the answer. It's not possible, so I'm wrong. So I'm doing that, and I'm always finished. And the teacher tells my dad, he's always finished. He's done, and he, he's ready to do another assignment, and the math is so easy to him, which I'm not into math at all. Never took math in high school. Never done algebra or any trig or any of these other kinds of math. Never did any of it. But 2nd grade, at that level of math, boom, 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 boom. And then the teacher says, and something happened. One day, he just flipped the paper over and started drawing. And that's when, you see, something switched from, this left brain thing doesn't do anything for me. It's easy. You want answers? Boom, 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 there they are. And they're not good enough for you. Done. And then I went into being this, thing. Please stand for our closing prayer. Mr. Dumas is in the entry. Please extend your love and thanks to him. If you have the means, leave an extra donation. We'd like to share with him in that way too. Our closing prayer, first a centering and breathing and gratitude. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we go, God is, I am, we are, and so it is. Peace be with you all. God bless. Thank you.